Africa. Before we continue, I'd like to get it out of the way that AJ Africa has not always been AJ Africa. We were the Woke Africa show, and I changed it to AJ Africa because the word woke has been used in so many ways that it's even confusing now. Because what I
Mhm.
understood by that has been twisted and turned into all kinds of things. So
Yes.
I thought, yeah, I thought, why not change it to, why not change it to something that is more personal, something that is more me. Um,
Okay.
and I thought, okay, why not AJ? So I actually
Hmm.
named it AJ Africa. And so that is the history. That's the difference. But it's the same great
Yeah.
personality, it's the same great show, it's the same great conversations that we've been having here. So welcome once again. I'd like to
Yeah.
introduce our guest, our esteemed guest, Dr. Brother Talib. Brother Talib has been with the show for a long time. He's someone I met and has been an inspiration to me with his wisdom, his research into matters before contributing, his love for global Black Africa and everything Pan African. I love this man so much because he's ever willing to teach to anyone that wants to learn. And so I welcome you, Brother Talib, and I would open the floor for you to introduce yourself, tell yourself, our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Sister Ajiwa. It is a pleasure for me to be here and privilege and an honor to be on your show, to be able to speak to your guests as well as your fans and others as well. We hope that the subject matter that we will be discussing will be of substance and importance to our people who have been deprived for centuries and who are seeking, but the best thing that they have not gotten so far is proper leadership in order for them to have sustained and relentless pursuit of the objective and the goals that they are seeking. We do not have that. They come and go, and you just a few moments ago referred to the fact that a few months or probably a couple of years ago, reparation was a very warm topic for
It
politicians and the
was.
opportunists for the
Yeah.
opportunists to mention. But the fact that they did not have much or anything meaningful to contribute to the progress or to the sustaining of the reparation movement, they fall off the wayside, and it was only a temporary ride for them. But for those who are sincere, committed, they are there. They are still working in the works. Like Dr. Hilary Beckles, the professor from University of the West Indies in Barbados, he have been relentless with data and information that he has been provided, and he have done much of the research. So when he speaks with evidence from evidence based. It is not just opinion. He may give an opinion after, but he speaks and address the matter with evidence based. And there are a number of other too. We won't mention them yet, but we will mention them soon. But God willing, and we all are able, we hope that we will be able to have a movement, not just a short spurt like you have an expert. We want
Yeah.
a movement that will be able to sustain the momentum. And like a relay race, if the leadership is tired and they're worn out, they should be cultivating young leaders to come on and with the spirit and the energy to take it from them.
To
They should not
take
be
over.
reluctant. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
should not be reluctant. Those people who are capable and who have done the necessary background preparation
Mm-hmm.
and understand the importance and what it means to our people. Yes, prepare them. We are full of.
So, Dr. Talib, I have this question. Um, I've ever since my awakening and love for Pan Africanism, I have seen that Pan Africans have assumed a position on the sidelines, um, and most of Pan Africans, those who have awakened and know what is happening,
Mhm.
have assigned the system to collapsing, and therefore they're not interested in engaging. So what I see is that raw political power, raw political power has been left for those who want to exploit it to keep exploiting, whilst true Pan
Mhm.
Africans who could access this power that
Yeah.
people give to other people who they believe can lead them,
Yes.
and they are abusing the power and using it for personal gains, and people are left in poverty, in disease, in all kinds of situations. Isn't it time? And we are talking about reparations, and imagine we had true Pan-Africans leading the chart for reparations. I think that it wouldn't have been like a charade, an initial showdown, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden the talk dies out and everybody goes about their business. I think it would have been something that would have been enduring to the point where we get results. So,
Yeah.
why is Pan Africans not interested in acquiring political power to achieve whatever we set out to do?
Because when they started out, their foundation was not correct. They saw an opportunity and it was a fad to them. The politician, they will speak of it because it might be the time to encourage or to solicit votes. But they very seldom would they address the matter or even join forces with those who are dedicated to the Pan Africanism and the reparation agenda. They do not, because they have a conflict of interest. The conflict of interest is they have signed and declared themselves loyal to America.
Yeah,
Yes, and they have to defend the America and their colleagues. But for them to now tell America and go against some of the pledges that they have made and to demand reparation for black, they would be going way off the fringe. And people would see them and they would see them as disloyal. They should not be representing their constituency. But the sincerity they are lacking. They are political opportunists. Furthermore, it is not, we have learned over the decades since we have had the chance to participate in the political process and seek offices in government that it is not unnecessarily be the best course to pursue what it is we are searching for. If we were able to organize ourselves, and many other scholars have said the same thing. If we are able to organize ourselves, by organizing ourselves and to be a force, then it is only then we can take the best from us and to go represent us. But right
you're
now
right.
we are fractionized. We are
Welcome,
fractioned.
Emmanuel Breaks. Welcome to the show. We are happy you are
Mm.
here. This is AJ Africa Show, and we're discussing um, reparations around the world. There was a time where everybody was on, the topics were hot, everybody was talking about it, and now it seems it's gone cold. So we're looking at why it's
Yes,
gone cold and how the conversation can be reignited because it's due, the time is due.
yes, it's true. For someone who is indulging in a type of engagement that require a certain type of commitment and skills, if they're lacking those things, it will show up sometime soon. And that is the result of what we're getting now. Those people have disappointed many. But for those who are committed and sincere, they realize and they can see them for who they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So,
they drop by
Brother
the
Talib,
wayside.
can you help
Yes,
throw light on what action is still going on now about reparations? Because I mean, I've searched everywhere, and a lot of what I saw was in the past.
yeah.
Currently, what is going on? How can people, how can we reignite people's interest in the topic again?
Dr. Harikana, uh, the president of Ghana, Dr. Ado, he make mention of an intent to organize a conference to deal with that matter. Those announcements have not been made yet. His sincerity and his effort are yet to be seen because he have made some lip service in which there would require some preparation which he did not perform. But there are a number of I would say leaders and countries about Barbados, Prime Minister Motley,
Yep.
as well
Yeah.
as our she is a committed Pan Africanist in terms of her rhetoric.
Yeah.
If she
Yeah.
do when I, but if she do understand the dangers for one to be a Pan Africanist,
Mhm.
uh, she'd been a prime minister. She demonstrated that she has faith in the leaders of Europe and the people who are created these conditions. The ones that she hopefully and the rest of Pan Africanists will be seeking reparation and repairs from. When she come to the realization, I don't think she is fully aware of it yet. There are things and programs that she's promoting that she should not. Yes, I think they gave her those positions so that
Hmm.
in the later years, they will be able to call upon her and she won't have much of a choice. Now, we see what happened to President of Kenya
Mhm.
and what he have done.
Ruto.
We see what happened to Malawi and what they have
Yeah.
done for a people suffering, for a people who is under those type of atrocities, and for them now to commit their citizens to go assist. It is just as if we had hire some black people from America and send them down to apartheid South Africa during the
Hmm.
regime.
Hmm.
That was be the equivalent of it. See, they need to be schooled, they need to be made aware, and I hope just Dr. Harikana, in her capacity and her nearness to them, would be able to at least give them a heads up for them to have second thoughts about this program that they have entered into with Israel.
Too. It's
Mhm.
true. Um,
Yes.
so if you just joined us, we have Brother Talib in our shorts. He is the star speaker for the day. We are discussing reparations. What is the status of the fight for reparation in global Black Africa? And also we are going to look at taxation for African Americans, or you know Africans in the diaspora who have moved into other countries or who have relocated living in other countries? How is taxation? How is, if someone is intending to move out of the US to another country, how is tax, how is their taxes going to look like? And so thank you very much for coming, Dr. Talib, Brother Talib. And with the discussion on reparations, when it started, I had hope, because I had hope that for the first time some kind of accountability was going to be taken. And there were so many states that had started the discussions and had even reached a conclusion on how much were going to be, how much was going to be paid. Have you
Are
heard of
asked
any?
for. Mhm.
Yeah, have you heard of any states that in the US that actually did pay?
To the best of my knowledge, a number of months ago, early about in the summer, around about then, there was some reparation paid to some low income people in California and I think in Chicago, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. A very minuscule amount. But I hope and I do think accepting that will not delete or deny them the opportunity for them to be qualified when and if and when the time comes soon for the
Yeah.
substantial or the just compensation or reparation.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's can you throw a little bit more light on what is just, what you think is just as payment for reparations?
You have reparation and you have, because there are some people who have been harmed and damaged one event in their
Mm-hmm.
lives. You have other people who have been harmed and damaged by a series of events over centuries and decades, as in our case. There is no
Yeah.
one or other people like us. We would seek reparations in the various areas. And they say that there is about five different category of reparations. You have one where the harm doer
Mm-hmm.
pays, yeah, pays the um the victim uh an agreed upon sum of whatever the case is might be. And the second thing is an apology and a pledge that that action would never happen again. Next one is the psychological repair. That aspect of it, we would not want the people who, the victimizer, to offer us anything in psychological repairs. It
Mm-hmm.
would not be in our best interest. I think
Yes.
we would be able to quantify and see the best expert in the matter, and we sure do have some among us, um, and other places in Africa too. So that would be able to repair. And secondly, it is not only one generation, because the damage that has been done has affected the unborn, including our youngsters. So they too, it would have to be a series of ongoing repairs or funding for those type of repairs to be done. Um, I can recall that Israel have still been receiving repairs for what was done to them in Germany,
Yeah.
the state of Israel. Yes, the Jews are still receiving repairs from what was done in
Yeah.
Germany to them, including America making amends to it too,
Yeah.
contributions to it. Uh, uh, but I think we would need, in order to gather our best minds on the subject, they need to share and be able to analyze our condition. And there were some good psychologists and sociologists in the past. They have written books and they have identified much of what was done to us. It's like you have a vehicle that was damaged in an accident.
Yeah.
You probably would not let the insurance company do your
Mm-hmm.
repairs. You would want to go to an independent
Yeah.
technician or a body job for them, and you arrange with them to do it so that they'll be doing it for you.
Yeah.
So, yes. So likewise is the compensation or the reparation that needs to be done, the psychological aspect of it, the counseling aspect of it, and there are many other dimensions to it. Some are not yet even realized. Some are realized, but they are not echoed. They do not make it an important aspect of it, but we will. God
He
willing,
will.
we should. Yes.
God willing. That
Yes,
is
sister. Yes,
fantastic. So, how can we still keep the conversation going? Because what has been done has been done. The
yes,
wrongs have been done. There's no
yes.
going around it. Um,
Correct. Hmm.
whenever they raise an issue so high up,
Yes.
my next question is: are they about to kill this issue? Are they about to
Okay.
kill this issue? And we've seen that the issue was raised so high, the discussions were had, but the action that followed it was really so minuscule, so
Yes.
minute.
Yes.
And what is your encouragement to global Black Africa, um, in not relenting, not giving up the fight
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
reparation?
One of the reason why we have seen a diminished enthusiasm, as we've seen earlier
Yeah.
in the year, was because the people who stand to benefit from the reparation, they have put their faith, or now they shift their alliance to politicians, because many of them did came out and they
Hmm.
speak about it. And that was only during their campaign or during their community
Mm-hmm.
efforts.
Yeah.
We should put it in the hands of people who are trusted, committed, and
Yeah.
sincere. That's what we should do. Um, there are leaders, but sometimes we don't recognize them as they should. They have been on the job and we don't recognize them as we should. And those are the ones we should have been leading the movement or encouraging the movement, flag bearers for the reparation movement. Um,
See,
some might be busy. Mhm.
Dr.
Some might be
Talib, that's
busy with
why,
other aspects. Mhm.
yeah, that's why I asked the question: why are Pan Africans not interested in seizing political power or taking political power? Because I heard a wise person say one time that the only way out is in. And in the beginning, I wasn't really too keen on that, but I have studied the system enough to understand that there is
Mhm.
some level of truth in that. The only way out
Yes.
is in. Because if you
Mhm.
want to affect a system, how do you
Yes.
affect a system without getting involved?
Yes.
Is it that we don't have enough true Pan Africans? We don't have enough true lovers of global Black Africa, in politics to kind of push or lobby, for some of these things, within government? Is that why, um, this whole thing is always abused and used for show, and then at the end of the day dumped? Shouldn't, um, true lovers of the continent be interested in attaining power so they can effect change? I'm asking because,
Question. Mhm.
it's mind boggling.
Mhm. Yes. Quite rightly so. Those questions beg for answers. And until we can get the type of leadership, the type of mind and commitment, we will always see the opportunist who
Yeah.
comes and they're temporary. But that and those people, don't be dismayed by those. The flame and the ones who carry the spirit and the flame for that, it should be in the people. So, regardless what those who might be the pretenders, our temporary guardians may do, if they leave, our spirit should not be kin, um, should not be halted. We should still go with our spirit, our high spirit, and to seek, because there's always among us good leadership. There's always among us good leadership and sincere.
Yes.
We know them.
Yeah.
We know some of them, but
You
we
do.
are sometimes impressed. But we can use the politician, counsel with them in the same way other groups use politicians and get their commitment so that they will go and champion the cause in the House of Representative and in the House of Politics for us. Every political campaign from, I would say it should have been from last year. Reparation should be a talk and should be a subject that is raised and held high by all African Americans, everyone
And held high.
in the, they should have
Exactly. I
been
like I like that.
good,
I like what you just said. It should be raised
demanding
and
them.
held high
Yes,
because for
yes.
some time now, I see
Mm.
that a lot of the advocates, okay, the those advocating for reparations on on social media, on YouTube, on all the platforms, mainstream
Hmm.
media, it
Yes.
just went dead, and we
Mhm.
have to we have to raise the conversation and hold it up high because a people have been wronged, a nation have been wronged, and
Mhm.
those wrongs should be made
Yes,
right. They must be made right.
yes.
And so, um, I mean, on that topic, what can you summarize it for us? And then for us to move, I wish the viewers, those viewers, welcome if you are live here with us.
Good.
This is
Yes.
AJ Africa. We haven't gone live for a long time because I went and I had a baby. I've had
Yes.
a baby and I've been off um, YouTube for a while, but I'm back with a bang, and
Uh,
we're going to be
yes.
discussing hot, interesting topics. And
Yes.
this time around, I've added politics to the segments that I'll be treating because I realized that as much as the more we stay out of political power, the more we do not have the power to effect any kind of change within our community, and we are left
Hmm.
with talking. We're left with either complaining, we're left with either discussing it and having no power to effect it at all.
Yes.
Um, it's time for for me, I think it's time for global Black Africa, who are awakened to the plight of the Black Africans within
Yes.
whichever communities we find ourselves, to
Yes.
encourage their children, sons and daughters, to get involved in politics because that is the
Hmm.
system that we live in, and that is how you can effect serious, real changes that affect the
Yes.
lives of our people positively.
And how
Sorry about that.
the subject matter can be raised or put among the highest subjects and those policies that affect America both nationally and internationally. If we, our candidates, insist on raising or putting those items on the agenda, they can use them, they can negotiate, and they can demand how it would be addressed. Or they themselves address it after they get sufficient knowledge and understanding of it.
Yeah.
But yes, and it would be an area that they themselves would be committed to. I am. It is very interesting when we see how the Palestinian has galvanized and how they have organized and arranged all over the earth in every country in order to get the type of support that they get, and even the support from people whose condition have been laid long before them. But we can find allies among them. Sometimes we can find allies among them and all the other people who are seeking to get away from the atrocities that has been committed and and made them victims.
Well, um, in any situation, I think that people are stronger together. People are
Yes.
stronger together, and
Yeah.
you know, thank you for these kind words, because I still think that we as global Black Africa should always prioritize the things that are important to us and our needs.
Hmm. Yes.
And
As a
we
people. Hmm.
often, exactly, we often see this Israeli Hamas war, and we are quick to stand up and say, hey, free Palestine, this and that. But how many of us are really, really talking about our issues on the continent? How many of
Yeah.
us are talking about the bombardment of African countries
Yes.
by the West on the
Yes.
continent? How many
Hmm.
people are
Yeah.
talking about the years, hundreds of years of exploitation of
Hmm.
Africa? It's as if we Africans get tired of talking
Yeah.
about it, because majority of Africans don't even see what is going
Yeah.
on with us. It's
Yes.
just our situation is so deplorable, especially on the continent, because we have moved from the era of direct enslavement into neo-colonialism, which is the worst form of enslavement of anybody, because what neo-colonialism does is that it removes the face of the adversary. It
Yes.
removes the hand of the adversary and replaces it with a conspirator,
Hmm.
somebody who looks exactly like you but is working
Yes.
for the adversary. And they come
Yes.
in and they plunder and plunder and plunder and plunder and plunder.
Hmm.
So your children's children have
Yes.
nothing to eat, have nothing to look forward to as
True.
their inheritance. It's all
Yes.
gone. They don't
Yes.
they will not leave, and they set you against each other.
Yes.
This political party, that political party, and then they keep fighting. They
Yes.
keep the train, the
Yes.
machine running. And what is happening
Yes.
to our continent and our people?
Hmm.
So you are right when you say that we have to be strong by uniting,
Yeah.
uniting with like-minded
Yeah.
people with similar situations. The world is
Hmm.
stronger united.
Yes.
We're definitely stronger united.
Yeah.
If you are
Yes.
watching this show, please like, please share. We are about to go on taxations for African Americans and global black diaspora who wants to move from their country of residence to another country, or to Africa, or naturalize in another country. If you're thinking of traveling, if you're thinking of resettling in another country, I think this might be of benefit to you in making your plans. So please share, and most importantly, hit the like button to get the show active and running. Welcome
Hmm.
again, Emmanuel Bricks. If you're here, please say hi. Let's know you are with us. So, Dr. Talib,
Yeah.
thank you very much for um, the discussion on reparations. As we are rounding
Yes.
up on reparations, is there anything else you would like to add? Any references? Any websites people can go and access information about that?
Yeah.
Which county representatives they can call and all that before we move on?
In America, there is few movements whose mandate or their agenda is set on reparations. They are fragmented and they are they don't have it as a high among their priorities. And it is for that and other reasons why you do not hear much about it until if a celebrity or someone make mention of it. You may get a 10 minutes or a 15 minutes a repeat. But for
Yeah.
the reparation to be and keep the flame of reparation, you have to have it like the Olympics flame. Have it light,
Exactly.
raise it high, and continue to carry it. Um, Encourage, promote, and whenever time the politician, especially our politician who are attempting to
Mm-hmm.
represent our constituency, those are some of the challenge they should face. What are their position? What do they know about it?
Yeah.
If they don't know, pledge to school them.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to come to an event or or to get some information where you can be schooled on that matter?
Yeah.
Because if we leave it up to them, their priority may not include that subject on the list. And they might be intimidated and be fearful of their
Yeah.
colleagues and who they may offend in the chambers of their service, public service. Yeah. Um,
Wow. Well, welcome, brother
there is a
Decking.
website. Huh? Pardon me, sis.
I'm just giving out some shouts to our viewers. Brother Dekin is
Yes.
also in the house. Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. Brother Emmanuel Briggs, thank you so much for sticking with us. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the next topic. So, Dr. Talib, we are there.
Yeah.
Taxation. If you live in the US, if you live in the UK, if you live in Australia, in the Western world, literally, and you're trying to move to resettle in Africa, you're trying to resettle anywhere outside of the US, and especially in
Yes.
Africa because that is what is new.
Yes. That's our
How,
main focus now. Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
um, how is, what are the complexities of the taxation systems in the US, and how does it affect someone like that who is trying to relocate to another country?
Yes. The the IRS have its policies, guidelines, and the laws in which it operates. For a US citizen, if they change residency, say they still have their US citizenship, but they change residency for whatever, however long, an accountant can offer them advice as to what are the limitations and what they need to declare. In the past, when I was aware of someone who have leave the US and traveled abroad and worked, I think it was $85,000 was the
Hmm.
first 85,000 was tax free. Everything else after that is tax. And they're global. I said they're global income, meaning if you went to Africa and set up a business and do transaction, you are expected by the whole US IRS to report it, to declare it. You see,
Oh,
no,
as long as you are an American citizen, right?
that's right, that's right. Until
Hmm.
unless you give up that citizenship and the privilege of the passport. If you don't, you are obligated and duty bound by law to file income tax and declare all those global income that you have received or made. Now, for some people, it might be
What are
easy.
the implications if what are the implications if this is not done?
The implication for that is they can garnish your assets, but first they will notify you. It will be a very costly exercise. to defend that if you do have some income that you had failed to report over the years and they are aware of it. If they are aware of it, when they come into the knowledge and aware of it, that's when, um, if it is, like I said, there is limits after which
Yeah.
the tax code kicks in. And you are allowed to, I think, earn 85,000 US per year without paying tax in a foreign country.
Okay.
Anything
Okay.
over that would have to be declared
You have to be taxed.
and file
You
and file
is
a
there,
tax return. Mhm.
of course, is there a prorated kind of approach to after the 85,000? A
You could do
prorated
that
way of paying.
if, yes, if you have a business, yes, and you are in a dire strait, then therefore you could arrange with the IRS to pay it in an incremental manner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay off the full amount. You can arrange to make payments, and they would be pretty, I think, reasonable in accepting that proposal. Apparently, they would see that you are attempting to come straight and declare your income. But if they were the ones who, for whatever reason, they discover and they find out through a bank transaction, through some of your dealings, then chances are they would be going after you. Yes.
I see. I see. So, how about if the person has naturalized as a citizen of an entirely different country? Does those rules still legally apply?
As long as you have a US passport and you use it and you're a US citizen, they expect you to comply with it as a US citizen. That's your obligation. So many people have dual or even triple citizenship in different countries, and they are able to manage it with an accountant who has international skills and background in dealing with it because they would have to file two or three tax return yearly on the matter. Mhm. Yeah.
I see.
So whatever taxes you pay, for example, in Ghana, you would be able to declare that and let them know that you have paid taxes on that income and you are no longer due to pay taxes in the US. Yes.
Oh, so if you
Yeah.
pay, even if you're on US a passport and you pay your
And
taxes
citizen. Yes.
locally,
Mhm.
you're exempted
Yes.
from paying it back to the US. Is that what
If
you're
it
saying?
reach the threshold, if it reaches or is below the threshold,
Mm, mm,
you
mm,
declare it, you will file a tax return for that particular country or state, the US, and declare your income and show them that you already paid taxes on the income and there is none due for them.
oh, okay. Great. So let's
Mhm.
say I live in Guyana, I live in Nigeria, I live in Botswana,
Mhm.
and I want to pay my taxes. Where is the first point of call? Is it the local embassy or the incumbent country's um, tax office? And how do you go about this?
If you do have a local international tax preparer who is familiar with the US, and I say familiar with the US tax system, they should be able to help you with the multi tax preparation forms.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you should be able to get those forms either on the website and the internet or probably, and they will issue them at the embassy or consulate, US embassy or consulate as well. They issue
Okay.
those forms. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So that's pretty interesting. Are there any
Yeah.
exemptions? Are there any tax exemptions for under any
Yeah.
circumstance. Are there tax
Yes.
exemptions for such
Yes.
people that relocate or yes?
hmm Yes. Well, uh, again, the military, even the American military and those soldiers who go over abroad and fight in combat situation, even them have to pay taxes too. They have to file their
Mm-hmm.
tax return. Now, there are exemptions. And if you are savvy and aware of the organization structure that
Mm-hmm.
will offer you those tax exempt operation,
Mm-hmm.
then you most likely would take advantage of those. And
Exactly.
many NGOs who go down there and they don't pay a dime or a cent in taxes
Mm, mm,
because
mm.
they are there for a long time. And as far as Uncle Sam is concerned, they are serving the interests of Uncle Sam when they are in those countries in Africa, our third world countries,
Yeah.
as we may say. They are serving the best interests of Uncle Sam.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm, mm, mm,
Yes.
mm.
Mhm.
So
They can apply for funding and grants as well,
yeah,
and the
exactly,
various programs. hmm
exactly. So
Yeah.
if you live in these areas, can you apply for exemption even if you're not in the brackets of those who are awarded exemptions?
Again, it depends on your status, and that would mean what type of activity your business is occurring. What type of activity your business, if you're doing something in the area of human services, community services, and so on and so forth, and I think probably some schooling, you might be that organization might be exempt from certain
I see.
tax obligations. Mhm.
I see. Wow. That is mind blowing. For me, I think the highlight for me was the fact that even if you live and you're doing business in another country, you still owe
Yeah.
tax allegiance to
Yes.
your country of birth or your country of origin. And that is
Yes.
something that I don't know if it's the same in Africa, if it's practiced in Africa. I think
Right now.
I mean, yeah, it's a topic I have to
Yeah.
discuss,
hmm
find out from our systems how it is. But
Yeah.
um,
hmm
how do I don't know. I wanted to ask about bank accounts. Bank
Yes.
accounts. As a U.S.
Interesting one.
citizen, are you
hmm
able to open bank accounts overseas?
Yes, one is able to through the proper channel and the use of someone who is familiar with the process. An attorney would sometimes do that for a client. That's why some of those African leaders and politicians, their bank accounts is all over Europe and the Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
because they've been set up that way. And there are countries that makes the rules and the laws for them easy. Yeah,
Wow.
for foreigners to do that. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Very interesting.
Matthew,
Thank you so much,
there's
our
an
viewers, for sticking with us. If you have any questions, Dr. Talib, Brother Talib is here, and you can definitely throw in your questions, and then let's dig into it. Um, but Dr. Talib, so um, is that is that kind of taxation um an a disincentive for relocation, because you know that moving from the US, the American dollar is a
Mhm.
harder currency than
Yeah,
the currency of countries in
most local
Africa.
government. Yes. Hmm.
Yes. And so if it's gonna take you a day to make $1,000 in the US, it's gonna take
Hmm.
me 20 days, 30 days, 40 days to make $1,000 in Africa.
Yeah.
So just oppose it.
Yes.
Um, I mean, uh, for somebody to establish a business and make that amount of money and be able to
Hmm.
pay taxes back to the US, what really goes into it? Because is it a
It's
disincentive for people to just up and say we are going?
now there are treaties and arrangement with the banks in Africa and the various countries. As you know, the U.S. dollar used to be the trading essential for international trade, even between two countries in Africa or the Caribbean. They would still use the US dollar is the standard currency for trading. Until
Mm-hmm.
recently, other countries are changing. When one has a foreign bank account, particularly a US, they would try to get in that bank account a certain amount of capital and a certain amount of cash so that they would be able to trade or to purchase what. But the US now has a certain limits where I think 50,000 or more dollars in an account with a US currency account ought to be reported by the bank.
Hmm.
That's his global. Yeah. It's a
Hmm.
new law that they made about probably last year or the year before. But 50,000 or more in a bank of US currency, the banks are to report it to the appropriate authorities.
Hmm. I
Yes, to
see.
the U.S. Ministry of Treasury or our State Department.
So even if the person does not go voluntarily to report, the banks will do the reporting on their behalf.
Yes, yes, oh yes,
So the
yes,
system will know that you're earning this
yes,
amount of money elsewhere on
uh-huh.
the continent.
Yes,
Wow,
yes,
that's
yes,
that's
hmm,
really that's really interesting. That's
yeah,
really interesting,
huh.
and I think people who are planning to relocate to the continent should um, plan for this
and
because
yes, and
anything
understand that.
above 85,000 US dollars you have to pay taxes on to
Hmm.
the US
Hmm.
government if you haven't
Yes,
naturalized yet. If you are still
yes,
using American passport,
hmm,
and
yes.
that is what advice would you give to young people who are to start a business, looking at the associated responsibilities of taxation to your origin country?
If they have dual citizenship, they should know, or most likely they're aware of the obligations. Probably in Africa, most of the African country may not require you to complete or to prepare a tax return, but the US, for that matter, would require that. Some people sever their ties and their relationship with the US passport. There are people who
Mm,
are giving it up in droves by the thousands now per year.
mm,
And they were surprised, particularly African Americans.
mm,
Yes. Yes. And but to do so, this is one of the catch that now you have to declare everything that you have, every asset, so that they can
mm.
assess it to determine whether or not you owe taxes on them.
Wow, before you can
That's yeah,
relinquish your citizenship.
before they grant you that release from your citizenship obligations.
Hmm, very interesting. Very, very
Yeah.
interesting. I
Yeah.
I see. Well,
Yes.
yeah, it, it's I was hoping that we get more questions from our viewers to help
Uh-huh.
answer any questions. But you know what, guys? If you just tuned in, let me assure you that if you have any questions, you can go right to the comment section and you can drop your questions there. And when we come back to
Yeah.
this topic in future, we'll definitely address it. This is just the
Yes.
first live about it, and we will come
Hmm.
again with your questions, and then we would have a more in-depth conversation about your taxation. Remember
Yeah.
that, Miss Brother Talib. Let me ask this. So, if you're doing your tax obligation to the US, are you required to also do tax obligation to the country of residence?
It will depend on the policy and the rules of that country.
Hmm.
But if I think most countries do have some form of tax obligation if you are doing business. So
Hmm.
when you do it before you do your US, then you would do your tax obligation there first. And whatever the result, profit or loss, you would be able to transfer
Mm-hmm.
that to the US, that you have a loss operating a business into the international arena.
Hmm.
You need your accountant who specialize, who have dual knowledge of the taxation will be able to do that. And there are quite a few now, I understand. Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Very interesting. If you are here watching us live, please like the show. If you're enjoying the show, um, please subscribe and then consider supporting us on Patreon at the Woke Africa Show. Um, we haven't changed it on Patreon. It's still the Woke Africa Show. So when you search the Woke Africa Show on Patreon, you can definitely go and support the show. Um, Dr. Talib, I would like to thank you so much for coming, because these are quite very important topics, especially with this taxation. Before people relocate into other countries, they have to have the mindset of making their
Yeah,
research before they get there. And this is not a topic that has been dealt with too much, um,
that's right.
even in the conversations. It's something everybody is
That's true.
dealing with on their own. Um,
Hmm.
what are some of the perceived difficulties that may arise in an attempt to do this?
Most people would think that they're out of sight, they're out of mind.
Mm,
Now, the State Department and their offices throughout the world, they monitor people and they gather data and information on them. If your threshold and your income in that country is below 80,000, you do not have to worry much about it. It is only that you have not filed in the US, but you're obligated by law to file the US tax return. It is only after you have relinquished your citizenship, then those rights or those obligation is no longer imposed on you. And it is a process to do so. Yes, a tedious
wow.
process to do so. Hmm. It's not
Tedious.
easy.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, they don't
Wow.
make it that easy anymore.
They don't make it easy. Wow. So, I believe I hope that that doesn't serve as a deterrent for people trying to resettle on the continent, because I've always
Yes.
been an advocate for African Americans, British Africans, um, African
Caribbeans
Australians. I
and
mean, all of them. I've always been an
yeah,
advocate for they returning to the continent, because something happens to
mm,
you when you do return to the continent. You get a
yes,
brand new perspective about what is
yeah,
actually pertaining on the continent.
mm,
So
yeah,
I always like to encourage our brothers and sisters to come back home. And in
yeah,
our next live, I will be interviewing Sister Keisha of
mhm,
Akuma Healing Hearts, um,
yes,
for her to tell us about her experience in relocating, because um, people must must these experiences to know that it's doable. and she pays taxes. So I really can't wait to hear what her tax journey has been in relocating to the continent when she joins us. So thank you
Yes.
so much for
Mhm.
coming, Brother Talib.
You're
How
certainly
is
welcome,
Jamaica?
sister.
How is Jamaica?
Jamaica, it is raining now since about 3, 4 hours ago. And yes, the rain started. Drizzled earlier and then it rained, poured much more. But this sore throat, I hope to starve it because I want to fast and only give it the thing that a remedy that is good for it because I received some from a friend of mine. So he called it the roots remedy. Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Well, the rain is good because after the rain, we're going to see spring and we're going to see a lot of fruits and
Hmm.
vegetables, and we're
Yeah.
going to see a
Hmm.
lot of
Yes.
freshness of Mother Earth renewing
Yes.
herself and spewing out
Yes.
her
Yeah.
goodness on
For
all of
sure.
us. So,
For
thank
sure.
you
For
so
sure.
much for another wonderful section. Brother Talib, you've always been uh, so refreshing to hear from every time. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Briggs, for joining us. Humble
Yes.
beginnings, but we're
Yes.
hoping that our viewership is going to grow again and this channel is going to explode. We need your help. Share this
Yes.
live that we've done.
Yes. Hmm.
If friends and family will benefit from it, that's more
Yes.
fantastic. Please hit the
Hmm.
like button and kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and look forward to
Yes.
more important things. I will be bringing you political content from the continent, because that is
Hmm.
something that a lot of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora don't get to hear much of. So we're going to bring
Hmm.
you a lot of content on that. I'm very much interested in the political party that was started by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1950 when he was fighting for the freedom of this country.
Yeah.
That is the Convention People's Party, has been
Hmm.
a party that I'm interested in. And I'm interested in this party because there is a Pan African woman who has just resumed chair and leadership of the party, and so I'm interested to see, keen to see where she's going, and she sounds to be a very promising person who actually believe in the youth of the continent, that something
Yes.
great can come out of the youth of this continent. So
Yes.
I'm keenly following the headlines, and definitely will
Yes.
be bringing you key topics that are interesting
Hmm.
for your ears
Hmm.
and eyes.
Yes.
So please stay tuned and enjoy yourself on this channel, and a lot more will be
Yes.
coming. Thank you, Brother Talib,
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
we hope when we
Thank you.
call you again, you would come and join us.
Yes. I hope so too, sister.
Have a fantastic evening, sir.
Same to you.
And thank
Yes.
everybody who joined us. We have come to the end of the
Yes.
show. Thank you very
Yes.
much. And join us
But
again next
good.
time.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, man. Okay.
Okay. So I guess it's now time to, okay, let me see. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, that was Dr. Brother Talib, and he has been an amazing person helping me on this channel, and I'm so grateful. So, I hope that we meet again soon, and then to discuss more interesting topics. So, thank you very much for coming, and see you again next time.